And what was the Helms-Burton bill?
The Helms-Burton's bill was how do we say it? A bill that was issued by Jesse Helms and from North Carolina, that anybody that was doing business with Cuba would be fined, some even up into the billions, and because they felt that you're doing business on expropriated territory that belongs to the U.S. In the case of myself, of Cubans not being allowed into the U.S., there's an embargo on. And at that point, we were, because the bill just got started, even though we work under sports and cultural activities are not supposed to be subject to the Helms-Burton bill.
That was my next question.
Yeah, you see the Cubans at the Olympics. So, why can't we go in and perform at university?
Yeah. You feel you'd be exempt. The arts would
be
exempt.
We are by law exempt from it. But the thing was that the bill was so new that it was like a witch hunt. It was a panic attack at the time. And for myself, there was two things that were in operation at that point. I had a record contract. I was to be signing with Sony Records that year, and I had been meeting with people, I won't say who they are, from Sony numerous times. And I know, they were into the record, going into the retail shops and asking how my sales were. So everything was, and the sales were good with our records. This was definitely, happening, like in a couple of months. And we had a tour also lined up through an arts organization in Washington, and of the U.S. with the group. And we had promised these people, we had been down there, we'd made a record with them, we had rehearsed for like a month to go on tour, we'd done all the paperwork, we paid all the monies for these guys to get them up here, and then this thing happened, and it was like we lost 4 of our main gigs that were a substantial amount of money, like money going through this agency, $40,000. That's not what I was going to make, but that's what the agency was going to make. And when the Helms-Burton bill went through, people canceled for fear of that they would get their arts funding pulled because they were presenting a Cuban group. And the recording, our signing was canceled. And it was pretty awful. It wasn't even a phone call because people were embarrassed about it because the word was coming through Sony Miami, which is sort of head of that whole Latin thing. So that was an extremely bad time, and we still brought the musicians here because people were really it was like our word. I just felt we couldn't say no. So we still went and did these 2 other gigs in the U.S. because we did have we did get the visas for them because we went through the very slow process of doing that, and then we rerouted the tour through Canada just to try and make up some time, not with any of the monies that we were going to get. But that was a case that Sherritt came in and helped us out with the airfares, to make that tour happen. So I'm very indebted to them too, because they were in a worse position, of course, than me. But I think they saw that, it was that they were able to help.
And if you wouldn't have done this, then Cuban music would have stayed in Cuba. It would have been alienated from the rest of the world.
I always take things too much hard on myself.
No, we must give you credit.
Oh, God.
Yes.
Oh, Florence Nightingale. Joan of Arc. No, I just felt like, come Helms or high water, That's what we called the tour, actually. We had to do it. And it was just our word with these people, because there was such desperation there. And we put everybody up here. It was insane. And then finally we billeted them out to other people's places. And there's a funny story because Larry had my father's old Cadillac at the time, and he would, at the end when we were rehearsing and stuff like that, when we finally got a few people out of here, it was like 10 people, was 10 guys, not women, 10 guys. All sleeping everywhere, and the house didn't look like this at this point. The end of the rehearsal, he would drive them to their billets. So, they'd be in Mississauga and Etobicoke and, everywhere. He'd get back here at 7, and by the time he got back here, half of the guys had come back. I was like, wait, I just dropped you off, what are you doing here? Because they wanted to be together.
Right.
They didn't want to be, they would go to these homes and there was nobody there. Even though they were being billeted, they were alone. And they just wanted to be together. So it was like, okay, well, can we be together?
How does the quest, the passion, the turmoil, the political unrest in your life and whatever, how does that affect the music, your music?
Probably gives it a bit of an edge. I think it gives it an edge because an urgency, because I think things are going to change. What's going to happen when it's ultimate, the U.S. is going to be in Cuba, and things will not be the same.
So for the young jazz musician, the young little boy, little girl playing the piano, walking from Brown School or walking down Avenue Road today, what advice do you give them? Has the world changed so much? What should they do? What advice?
Well, I feel like you just you just got to follow your passion, and it's your life, and just not let anybody discourage you, about taking chances. If you're considering taking chances, well then take the chances. I mean, I just feel right now I'm meeting so many students that have so much fear, about, well, what if this and what if that, and I better study to have a teaching job because I won't be able to ever make it as a musician, and I need to do this, and better have this in backup. And well, maybe for those kind of people think like that's what they should do. But when everybody starts thinking like that, like where are the innovators and the people that are going to really carry on? I mean, you just have to. There's sacrifices that you make when you decide that you want to do something. But if your passion is really to go stand, down by the lake and blow your horn for, an hour, then you should go. These things that just so many young people are just so kind of whatever, they're just kind of like, I don't know, maybe I'll go to India, I don't know. Is there sort of a vagueness, that. But I strangely enough, I got a really good feeling yesterday at Humber from
where you were playing with the students.
Yeah, with a lot of the students, and that they were really serious and they're going to really try and make a go, of being musicians, and the most important thing is getting the training and then really trying to develop your own thing.